All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. I am an avid herpetologist. Today we're going to be going another deck profile for a fun rogue deck in the Digimon BT12 format. Today we're going to be taking a look at my latest iteration of Aegisdramon. And before you guys run to the comments to tell me the proper pronunciation, I am settling on Aegisdramon. Everyone I have ever spoken to has pronounced the name differently. I am sticking with Aegisdramon because it is comfortable for me. Aegisdramon, I don't know. I'm going with Aegisdramon. So just so we're clear, I am committing to that pronunciation for the duration of this video. Now, this is a very fun rogue deck with a surprisingly high ceiling. This is a deck that does take a little bit of getting used to. It takes some practice to really understand how the rotations work, some of the combos the deck is capable of, but once you get comfortable with it, this deck can actually be very aggressive and very board controlling at the same time. It's got a very nice skill ceiling. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the deck because there's quite a bit to talk about. So we're going to start off with our eggs here. We are going to be playing the tried and true 4 copies of Bukamon from BT7. This Bukamon has an effect once per turn on your turn. Anytime you play a Digimon from one of your Digimon's sources, you can gain 1 memory. That is the overarching theme of Aegisdramon, is you're going to basically be playing out additional rookie champion level and even potentially higher Digimon from your sources to build out a very wide board state that can aggress your opponent very quickly. Bukamon supports that role by basically giving us the ability to gain some extra memory and make additional plays on our turn. Now, as of BT11, Aegisdramon got a nice new addition that kind of made a secondary version of that effect, and we'll go ahead and get into that later. But we're going to go ahead and move on and start talking about our rookies. Now, I'm going to be playing a total of 12 rookies in this deck. That's the number I've been running, and it's felt pretty consistent. To begin with, we are playing the most important rookie in the deck, and that is Gomamon. Gomamon here has an effect where if it is played from a Digivolution source, you can draw 2 cards. This card makes sure that we always have a nice thick hand and are able to extend our plays consistently. It helps to make sure that we've always got the next pieces of our stacks that we need to be building on top of. Gomamon is a very, very powerful card. It's easily one of the biggest and best staples that this deck has to offer. Next up, we're going to be playing 4 copies of Crabmon, the new addition from EX3. This is one of the cards in the wave that Aegisdramon himself actually came in. Crabmon has an effect where, on play, one of your blue Digimon gains jamming for the turn. Then, if it was played from a Digivolution source, you can also tuck a blue level 5 or lower Digimon card from your hand under that Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. So not only is that jamming great for making sure that we can aggress into our opponent's security very quickly without having to worry about getting deleted in battle, but being able to tuck an additional source also means that we're going to continue playing out more and more bodies onto the field. So not only is this going to be able to give us board aggression, but it's going to make sure we keep refilling our clip and have more bodies that we can cheat out as our plays continue. Next up is going to be our first BT11 addition to the deck. We are going to be playing 4 copies of Penguinmon from, as I mentioned, BT11. Now, Penguinmon has an on-play effect by placing any blue level 3 Digimon card or a Digimon card with Aqua or Sea Animal in one of its traits under this card as its bottom Digivolution source. You can draw a card. So my previous iteration of this list prior to BT11 was playing BT1 Gabumon in this slot, which is just on play draw a card. Penguinmon is a nice upgrade over Gabumon because not only are you still getting to draw that card, but as I mentioned, just like Crabmon, it lets you tuck additional sources that let you extend your plays a little bit more. So very, very good. It's a very nice addition to the deck as well. Penguinmon has been a very solid upgrade. And yeah, these 12 rookies have really been my kind of go-to suit. Each one of them suits the theme very well. I'm choosing not to play any memory blockers or any other kind of floodgate rookies just because these are going to let me be again more aggressive. They're supporting the overall strategy super well. So moving up into our champions, I'm going to be playing 4 copies of Tobyumon. Now, Tobyumon is incredibly simple, but is very important for what this deck's strategy is. It is 3 to play, 3000 DP, and only 1 to Digivolve. So it's that nice, cheap, statted champion Digimon that all colors have. And Tobyumon is going to be extra important because it has that aquatic or sea animal umbrella. So it's going to be included in all of the effects that are looking for Digimon of that type. Now, Tobyumon is also important for a couple of other reasons. Number 1, having a champion that we can play out for only 3 memory, making sure that we can make cheap plays even if we don't necessarily start with a rookie. That is, of course, going to be very nice. But also, and debatably more importantly, it has a Digivolution cost of only 1. Being able to play out a rookie from our sources and evo onto it for only 1 cost, making sure that we can then play that rookie out a second time, is one of the best ways to expand your board very, very rapidly. So making sure that we have lots of champion level Digimon that are able to do that is going to be important. And on that same note, we are playing another 4 copies of a champion level that digivolves for only 1 memory. That is going to be 4 copies of Lanimon. Now, Lanimon is a 6 to play, 5000 DP blocker that again digivolves for only 1, and it loses 2 memory anytime it would attack. So ideally, you don't want to necessarily be attacking with this unless you're swinging for game. However, as I mentioned, being able to digivolve for 1 onto our rookies is one of our most valuable plays. So I want to make sure I'm playing plenty of those, and being able to just stick an extra blocker on the board on top of one of the rookies that we cheated out for super cheap is again going to be a very nice play that can help us defend ourselves while we're trying to push our early aggression. So Lanimon has worked out pretty well. I've never really been super tempted to take it below 4 copies. It's worked really well for me. It is worth mentioning that Lanimon is not included under the aquatic umbrella, unfortunately. It is not considered to have one of the traits for like Crabmon and Penguinmon, which does kind of stink a little bit, but even still, as I mentioned, the just generic benefits of its stats do make it still worth playing. Just make sure you realize you cannot play this card out, I don't think, with any of the abilities that this deck actually has. So just bear that in mind. Make sure you use it for its stats, but recognize that you're going to want to be cheating out other bodies, not just Lanimon. But that's okay, because again, if you're digivolving for him for 1 on top of something, you can use those effects to cheat the rookie out again, and everything works out. Coming up next, I'm going to be playing 2 copies of Ebidramon from EX3. Now, some people may be pretty surprised that I cut this card down to only 2. It is a very good card, but it's not one that I want to be seeing multiple copies of. This card is 5 to play, 5000 DP. It is 2 to digivolve. On play, one of your blue Digimon gains blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. Then, if this card was played from Digivolution sources, you can also unsuspend that Digimon. So, on one hand, this can potentially be an aggressive play where you can cheat this out in order to unsuspend something and get in an extra attack, but more often than not, it's going to be a defensive blocker. So if you digivolve, for instance, into Aegisdramon to pass your turn, you can play this guy out, unsuspend your big body, such as Aegisdramon, and then keep him up as a nice chunky blocker. So that is going to be his primary utility, but the more that I've played this deck, like I said, even though that effect is very powerful, it's not quite as abusable as I would necessarily like. So I'm going to be trying in BT12 to play this guy only at 2 copies. I'll see if I miss him. I don't expect to, but we're going to be entering into the format only playing these 2. Now, the last champions we are going to be playing are 3 copies of lanimon, or Ranimon if you watch the actual anime. So lanimon is 5 to play, 4000 DP, 2 to digivolve, and is a new addition as of BT12. Lanimon is a hybrid, meaning she can digivolve on top of our Tamers. She is a fairy, so even though she is not included under the aquatic umbrella, we are actually playing some effects that can make use of her just because she is a hybrid. When digivolving, by placing a blue level 3 Digimon card from your hand at the bottom Digivolution source of one of your blue Digimon, you can give Lanimon jamming. So not only is this going to be, again, great aggression, a great way to get some early checks in on our opponent, but Lanimon is also going to be awesome because, again, we can attack for game with it. And there's going to be an ultimate level Digimon that we're playing that can really make use of having that extra free swing from our champion levels. So we'll get into that in just a moment. So Lanimon is a pretty good addition to this deck, I think. Again, you'll be able to tuck one of your other potential level 3s underneath something, so you'll be able to extend plays that way. So a lot of these new effects that are reloading the clip are super, super nice. So I'm going to be playing 3 copies of Lanimon. Now, moving up into our ultimates, the first 2 that we're going to be covering, I keep going back and forth on which one I want to be playing 3 versus 4 of, so we're just going to talk about each of these in sequence, but we are going to be playing a total of 7 between the 2. To begin with, I'm going to be playing 3 copies of Aegisdramon from EX3. Now, this Aegisdramon has a when attacking effect to play a blue level 3 Digimon card from one of your blue Digimon sources without paying its memory cost. So again, being able to cheat out our level 3 Digimon into play, we'll be able to digivolve on top of them, and then swing with this, cheat them out again. You basically just want to keep recycling these rookies over and over and over again, and Aegisdramon is one of the best ways to do that. In fact, Aegisdramon can even go a step further, since its inheritable is the exact same effect. When attacking once per turn, you may play a blue level 3 Digimon card from sources without paying its memory cost. So very, very nice to have. Now, the other ultimate level that, again, I've kind of been debating between this and the other one, which one I want to be playing 4 and which one I want to be playing 3, but currently I am playing 4 copies of Waru Dramon from BT11. Now, Waru is a very cool addition to this deck. It is 8 to play, 8000 DP, and 4 to Digivolve. It has an on-play or when Digivolving effect to play any purple or blue level 3 Digimon from one of your purple or blue Digimon sources, again without paying its cost. So rather than being on attack, instead it's an on Digivolve or on play, which means not only will you get this effect when Digivolving on top of something, but you'll also be able to get it if it itself is played out of sources, which is very cool. Now, both of these guys are aquatic, which means they're going to be under that umbrella. Very easy to cheat out with Aegisdramon, as well as some of the other effects. Waru also has the ability in its inheritables, where on all turns, once per turn, when you play a Digimon by an effect, gain a memory. So this is the other card that's going to be extra copies of our Bukamon inheritable, but it even goes a step further. Since this effect is on all turns, if your opponent causes you to play out something from your sources on their turn, you still get to gain that memory. So being able to stack a couple of Waru inheritables, you'll be able to gain a ton of memory very, very easily. So both of these cards are pretty solid. I'm going to be currently playing 3 copies of Mega and 4 copies of Waru, just because Waru's effect is guaranteed to be gotten off when you are Digivolving into it outside of the raising area. Mega Seedramon, if you Digivolve into it and accidentally or have to pass your turn, you're not going to be able to attack and you're not going to be able to get that value. By contrast, Waru Seedramon will be able to get the free play from sources just by going into it, even if you do pass the turn, and ultimately the Digivolution cost should be the same, since if you have a Bukamon in your sources, you'll be gaining a memory back when you Digivolve into this, so ultimately it's going to net you 3 memory instead of 4 anyways. So currently this is my split, 3 and 4, but we are playing one additional ultimate, and that is going to be 2 copies of Chimeramon. Now, Chimeramon has a lot of effects. We're not going to go into all of them just because I'm sure you guys are very familiar with Chimeramon at this point. But Chimeramon is a card that is typically featured in decks featuring multiple colors. Now, we do have Waru as one additional color, but spoiler, the rest of the deck is just solid blue. But that's not going to stop us from playing our Chimeramon here. Chimeramon suits the Aegisdramon theme incredibly well. Even though it is a composite, meaning it cannot be played out of your sources by any of our effects, it does have the ability to tuck any of your level 5 or lowers into its sources when you Digivolve into it. So Chimeramon is going to not only again be loading our stack, giving us those nice inheritables, it's also a free source of aggression by also resetting any level 4s that may have been in play, making sure that we can then attack with a fresh stack. So this is where we get the nice synergies with, for instance, our lanimons. If we've swung in with jamming, checked their security, and we have another champion level Digimon in play, we can then DNA them into our Chimeramon and swing again. So Chimeramon is a fantastic way to help close the game out. We are playing actually 13 champions and only 12 rookies. We are basically planning on just spamming the same rookie over and over, Digivolving onto it and spamming it again. This is going to again give us lots of extra bodies that we can use to make our Chimeramon. So the synergies really are nice. The minusing DP onto the opponent's field will come up, and it'll be relevant when it's relevant. Like I said, having the extra purple color on our Waru Seedramons will help us make sure we can hit that 3,000 DP threshold to kill some troublesome floodgates, especially things such as Pillowmon and Pamumon that shut down our ability to play Digimon by effects. So Chimeramon is one of the ways to deal with that, and like I said, it really does suit this deck strategy absurdly well. So highly recommend, if you haven't tried Chimeramon and Aegisdramon yet, give it a run. You will not be disappointed. Moving up into our Megas, we are still playing 4 copies of the most important Mega in the deck, 4 copies of Plesiomon from EX3. So Plesiomon is 11 to play, 11,000 DP, 3 to Digivolve. When Digivolving, you can play 1 level 3 Digimon or a level 4 or lower Digimon with the Aquatic Umbrella out from one of your sources without paying its memory cost. Afterwards, you can then tuck any blue Digimon you want from your hand under this card as its bottom source. So this is going to be one of the best setup plays to transition into our level 7s, which of course we are playing a few of because this is an Aegisdramon deck. Plesiomon also has an inheritable that really gives this deck its teeth. On all turns, anytime you play a Digimon from a Digivolution source, you can return one of your opponent's Digimon with the same level to the bottom of its owner's deck. So we want to try to manipulate our stack so we have a wide range of different levels that we are able to cheat out at a moment's notice. Anytime our opponent has to play something from their hand, which is extremely common these days, especially with decks like Hunter and Crossheart being everywhere, this is going to give us the opportunity to bring something out and then tuck whatever we want, as long as it's the same level, to the bottom of their deck. You're not even deleting or bouncing it to hand, you are tucking it to the bottom of their deck, which is one of the best form of removal possible. So Plesiomon is going to be our primary mega that we want to be digivolving into. However, as of BT12, we have a brand new mega who is going to be filling in for Aegisdramon in this new list, and that is 3 copies of Ancient Mermaimon. So this is, as I mentioned, a brand new Digimon, 13 to play, 13,000 DP, and 5 to Digivolve. However, very similar to Waru, we're going to hopefully not be paying that full 5 and gaining some memory back, thanks to all of our sources that will be gaining us memory when we play things out. When Digivolving, you can play a blue Digimon with the hybrid trait or one under the aquatic umbrella from one of your blue Digimon sources without paying the cost. This means you can basically cheat out anything you want from our pile here aside from Lanimon and Chimeramon. You'll be able to play our Waru out. You'll be able to play out lanimon if you want to go that route. So all of these are basically going to be fair game. Ancient Mermaimon is a really, really nice addition. As I mentioned, it's going to be a second card in this mega level slot that's going to be very similar to our Plesiomon. And as before with Aegisdramon, this is going to be the card we want to ideally be tucking with our Plesiomon if we're about to go into Aegisdramon. So this is going to be a phenomenal card, even though you wouldn't necessarily get its when Digivolving effect when played from sources. This is considered an Ancient Aqua Beast, which is considered to be part of the aquatic umbrella. So Ancient Mermaimon will be able to get played by our Aegisdramons, which of course would then tuck a level 6 Digimon on the opponent's field to the bottom of their deck. Now Ancient Mermaimon also has an on deletion effect to play one blue level 4 or lower Digimon card with the hybrid traits from your hand without paying the cost. So if this gets deleted and we have kept a lanimon in hand, you will still be able to float into another body, which again is really nice tempo that'll help make sure we can close games out and not get, completely wiped out by potential board wipes. So that's going to be super nice as well. Finally, moving up into our level 7s, we have the namesake of the deck, 3 copies of Aegisdramon. 3 copies just seemed about right for this guy. He is a level 7, so we don't want to be seeing him every single turn, of course, but we do want to be able to have multiple copies of this card because we can spam them by digivolving into this, playing out our Mermaimon, digivolving again. So much like all of our other play from source plays, we'll be able to, of course, spam our level 6s, which can then digivolve into more of these. And basically, we want to make sure we're getting off that when digivolving effect as often as possible. The when digivolving effect let you play any card with Aegisdramon in its name or that under the aquatic umbrella from your sources, again, without paying the memory cost. So this will, again, play pretty much anything in the deck outside of Lanimon, outside of Chimeramon, and this does not play Plesiomon. But that's okay because we want to be keeping Plesiomon's inheritable in the sources anyway. Now, Aegisdramon has an opponent's turn once per turn effect. This is where this deck really gets cool. When your opponent plays a Digimon, you can activate the when digivolving effect, which of course then lets you play something else out. So not only can you trigger Plesiomon's inheritable on your own turn by digivolving into this, anytime your opponent plays something on their turn, you will also be able to play something out. So this card is very cool for board control. It's very, of course, good for going wide and creating more aggression. It really is, again, the namesake of the deck, and it is a card that is very fun to play around. When you do get good at how this deck's combos work, it is incredibly fun. I've played this on stream a couple of times. I'm looking forward to hopefully doing more streaming soon so I can show you guys how this new BT12 list runs, but we are playing 3 of those. The other new addition that I have not mentioned in my last Aegisdramon deck profile is a single copy of Omnimon Merciful Mode. So Merciful Mode has quite a bit going for it, and in this deck, you really get to make full use of its effects. 15 to play, 15,000 DP, 6 to Digivolve. It has a when Digivolving effect for every Digimon with Mega in this card's sources. You can then delete one of your opponent's Digimon. This is a deck that is going to be stacking multiple level 6s in its pile very easily, thanks to our Plesiomon's on Digivolve effect, so it's very easy for us to Digivolve into Plesio, play something out, tuck Ancient Mermaimon, or even another Plesio, and then Digivolve up into Merciful Mode to pop 2 bodies. It also has an effect that's gotten very good in the modern meta, which is after you have deleted your opponent's Digimon, you can also tuck 10 cards from your opponent's trash to the bottom of their deck. This can be great for helping to remove valuable sources that they may be using. It's great against decks like Beelzemon. It puts them a full 10 cards back. Now, granted, Beelzemon can probably mill those cards again, but as long as you are selective with which cards you are putting back into the deck, you can help basically cut them off of very valuable resources that they would be hoping to utilize from their trash. So Merciful Mode has been a fantastic one-of in this list. It's great for helping to deal with the deck's biggest weakness, which is, again, going to be either Floodgate Rookies that'll prevent us from playing Digimon from sources, or, of course, Death Xmon. This is a great card for dealing with opposing stacks if you can't get the Aegisdramon effect off just then. So very, very nice addition. It's, again, been great as a one-of. I love it every time it comes up. Next, we're going to be playing 2 copies of an option card, a new option card from BT12. We are going to be playing 2 copies of Great Maelstrom. Now, Great Maelstrom is 9 initially to play. However, if you would use this card from your hand, if you place a blue Digimon as the bottom source of one of your other blue Digimon, you can reduce the cost by 3. So basically, as long as you're willing to tuck one of your many, many bodies on the field into one of your sources again, you can play this card for a cost of 6. Now, it has the effect to return any of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of its owner's deck, keeping that same effect if you check it in security. This is a very nice removal spell that this deck has been sorely needing for quite a while. Again, this is going to help us deal with problematic opposing stacks in a manner similar to that of Omnimon or Aegisdramon if we have our Plesiomon in play. Is good for dealing with opposing level 7s, think things like Quartzmon. So definitely good to be playing as a 2 of. I have not really felt like I needed more or less. I think this is just the right amount at 2, so I'm going to be playing 2 copies of that. And finally, to wrap things up, we're playing some Tamers. We are playing 2 copies of Davis Motomia, the classic memory setter, who's going to let us check the top 3, and then add any blue Digimon that we want from among them to our hand. And finally, the last card in the deck is a single copy of Matashita and Sora Takanochi. So, Matsura is a 4-to-play tamer. At the start of your main phase, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, you can gain a memory. Then if an opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, you can also, of course, gain a memory. It's a very nice extra +2, which is going to be live most of the mid and late game, pretty much against any deck that you're playing against, since card advantage is something that gets accumulated very, very quickly in Digimon. Now, it also has a Your Turn effect, where if one of your blue or red Digimon becomes unsuspended on your turn, you can suspend this tamer to return an opponent's level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. Will this effect matter all the time? No. Is this another way to deal with problematic Floodgate rookies? Absolutely. I'm playing this card because it's a way to go above the 3 memory that we're going to be most likely getting from our Davises. It's another tamer, so we can again use our hybrids, Digivolve on top of them when we're ready to go for game. But being able to bounce problematic level 3s, even if it's just to stage off 1 extra attack on the opponent's turn, this card has been a very, very nice tech choice. I do highly recommend, again, trying this card out if you have not been playing it yet. You'll find that its memory effect gets online very quickly, especially when you're going to be spamming your Gomamons. You'll be drawing a ton of cards yourself, and your opponent is probably going to get there naturally on their own as well. So, yeah, that's going to about do it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Aegisdramon is probably my second favorite deck behind Machinedramon. This deck is a absolute blast. Again, I highly recommend practicing with it and getting good with it because you can absolutely steal quite a few games, even against meta-relevant decks with it. So, yeah, that's going to about do it. If you guys have any questions or want to know why I omitted things, for instance, the brand new Mermaimon, I chose to play Chimeramon over Mermaimon. If you'd like to know more about why, feel free to ask in the comments below. But with that, yeah, if you guys are enjoying the content, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I am an avid herpetologist. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.